The tides beckon.
Oh no, another unstable path. Watch your step. Watch out! There are rocks falling over here!
Silence!
It seems we're almost at the top. Keep it up!
One with nature.
Settle down! Justice is blood. Go! Be sanctified. Bow your head.
The wind knows me.
Silence!
A moment, please.
Looks like we've reached the end.
This is the place. There should not be any other hidden spaces in the vicinity.
The path sure had some twists and turns, but it turns out that this place isn't actually that big.
Stone slates. It seems like they were put here as an offering.
Perhaps we should just leave them be for...
There are 4 locations in total, but only 3 stone slates. The slate that should be in the first empty spot is missing.
The surrounding walls also show signs of...
There's something written below. Let Paimon see. Reason dictates that this nation be destroyed. I shall record the history of its future here in its past. Say what?
It feels like someone left these slates and these words here for a purpose. But does he mean that Fontaine should be destroyed?
That would fit the circumstances dictated by the prophecy, yes. Indeed, the slate's contents correspond to it. Take the second slate, for example.
There's a person kneeling here. She seems so dedicated. And there's a whole bunch of other people behind her doing the same. She's facing this... what is this? Some kind of island in the sky?
And is that Lady Farina in the third image? Did the Hydro Archon fall into the water?
And is that a ring of people around her? Paimon doesn't quite get it. Are they all in the water?
The fourth image. I know this one. This exactly matches the content of the prophecy.
The people will all be dissolved into the... More information should be hidden in these slates, but I fear I cannot easily uncover it, most likely due to us missing the first slate.
Don't blame yourself, Monsieur Neuvillette. Deciphering ancient stone slates isn't one of your duties.
Ooh, Paimon's getting the chills just looking at these slates. This says that it's the history of the future, right? That means the prophecy should...
I really hope it doesn't mean...
Still, Paimon...
That's right! If the images are in chronological order, shouldn't the fourth, the waters drowning Fontaine, come before the third?
And yet the order is reversed here.
If we go by timing, Lady Farina only emerges in the third image. That means that the person in the second image might be the previous Hydro Archon.
Egeria, then. I had never met her, but her appearance here does match the records. The previous Archon kneeling before the floating island in the skies, as if confessing a sin.
Did she herself commit that sin? And if not, why would she be in such a posture? Also, I'm still wondering why these ancient stone slates are here at all. Judging from their contents, could this place be the origin of the prophecy? Does that mean that someone, or some people, once saw these slates?
But who would have created these slates and left these words here?
It seems that any further clues will have to come from Farina.
In that case, there's no time to lose. There's nothing else to be gained here, so let's head back first.
Yeah, we better get somewhere safe for now.
Let's split up here. I'm going to check on what's happening with the Spina.
You still have energy for...
Just head back to the Fleuve Cendre.
I'll depart as well. Thanks for your hard work today. Rest well, everyone. Traveler, I will go talk to Farina tomorrow morning to ask about this. I'm sure that you're concerned about this matter as well. If you have time, drop by my office.
Are you really gonna talk to her about this directly? Will that be a problem?
She has long been harboring secrets, and will not give them up easily. Which makes it all the more my...
Alright, we'll leave it in your hands then.
I will be carefully considering my words tonight.
Traveler, Paimon, our safe house at the Fleuve Cendre is always open to you, as ever. So please don't think you're an imposition. Alright. I'll be on my way then.
Welcome back. We've got a special menu prepared for you two.
Yay! And there's good food too! No, the boss is the best. Ooh, desserts! Nice! These
Oh, that voice. Is that who I think it is?
Huh?
It's you two. What are you doing in Fontaine?
Mona?
Seriously, nobody just uses a scry glass whenever they've got time to just see who they'll meet on the road.
Still, we didn't expect to see you here. Wait, you're not a Fontanian, are you?
Well, I have some business to attend to here, so I booked a hotel in the city. I was just out for a stroll when I bumped into you. Quite. Why did you think I was from Fontaine, though? Is that because Magistus doesn't sound much like a Mondstadter surname?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Well, I used to have my own surname, which was, well, some other thing. Either way, the old hag told me when she took me as her disciple that the first step to being a great astrologist's pupil was to change that name. There was nothing for it, really. She really is amazing at astrology, so I changed my name to what it is now according to her wishes. To my surprise, however, Magistus is not the name of some ancient house or clan.
It isn't?
Nope. Although it is used by us in place of surnames, it generally just means great.
Wow! Imagine including a boast in your name.
I reckon so. In any case, I'd give my disciple a name like this as well, if Astromancer Barbeloth Trismegistus.
Whoa, that's a long one. Does it also mean great or something?
My name means Mona the Great Astrologist. As for the old hag, hers is, in plain speech, the thrice-as-great Scholar of the Stars. Just take it as a title specific to astrologists.
Thrice as great? That's so petty.
I know, right? That's just how she is. She used to call herself Magistus, actually, but once she took me in, she changed her name to Trismegistus.
Talk about excessive.
Magistus is thus the calling card of our school, so to speak, which makes it about the same as a surname.
That sounds terrible! Ugh. But anyway, you're not Fontanian, are you, Mona? You're from Mondstadt, right?
Well, I was born in Mondstadt, yes. My parents migrated to Dorman Port, and I traveled with the old hag for a while, after which I settled down in Mondstadt City.
Oh, that's a good thing then. At least we know you won't be dissolved by Fontaine's waters.
Speaking of that, I'm sure you're aware that a bunch of things have happened here in Fontaine, right? I know you're not a local, but I'd avoid getting too close to any water that looks strange all the same. There's something ominous about it. Well, the water, I mean. That was the main reason, yes. Just a while back, the Steambird invited me to take part in a panel and speak about the circulation of the The invitation was sent quite early on. I don't think anyone expected.
What do you make of that prophecy, Mona? Just tell us what you think as an astrologist. Your word would go a long way to make things more certain and less scary.
What I can tell you is that I'm an astrologist, and that this prophecy concerns the fate of Fontaine, even that of all Tevat. I'm afraid that this is not something that just anyone can do. If I could do it, you would no longer call me an astrologist, but a vision. But on the flip side, the prophecy is so huge and powerful that it must surely come from a powerful visionary.
A visionary? Sounds really powerful and all, but does such a person really exist?
Of course. The old hag could do it, and I'd bet there are others amongst those Hexenzirkel colleagues of hers who could do something similar. Are you sure? All right, I'll help you. It isn't often that I see you with such a serious look on your face. I'll tell you once I hear back from her.
Thanks, Mona. You're amazing as always.
Oh, well, this is something only I can do after all. So yes, your praises are quite welcome.
That's the greatest of astrologists for
indeed. That's the spirit.
Oh, sorry. I came to see what all the commotion was about. If there's anything you need, do not hesitate to inform the Spina di Rosula.
Oh, whoops. Guess we were getting a little too carried away there. Well, I'll go tend to my own business now.
And there she goes, quick as rushing water. And here we are with the Spina guy giving us suspicious looks. Right, but we were able to recruit Mona's help, didn't we? Good morning. To be honest, I'm still feeling kind of sleepy. But it's time to get up, traveler. We agreed to go see Neuvillette, so let's pack it up and get going.
You're here! Finally!
Is something wrong?
Monsieur Neuvillette and Lady Farina, they seem to have gotten into a dispute. Please go see for yourself.
Like I said, I've already explained everything.
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for excuses between us. It is not my intention to offend you, but please, tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Archon Focalor, are you not? Look at this. This is a list of the victims from the recent Poisson incident.
You mean... they're all...
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster, and I will not have it happen again. I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near Poisson. Do you know anything about those?
Seriously? You're questioning me like this is a court case now. I don't know anything about that. But you found them in some ancient ruins, you say?
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing. The other 3 featured different images that seemed to correlate to the prophecy.
The prophecy?
The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something. Do you know nothing of this either?
I don't. I've never seen such slates.
I'll ask you again. Do you really have no information regarding the previous Archon? My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin. If anyone would know about it, it should be you.
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know nothing? I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't have anything to tell you.
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Farina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into certain matters. There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy on the sly. This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange that you should also claim to not know any of Egeria's secrets, as well as do nothing following your inquiries. You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool. And yet, your behavior is very inconsistent.
So you've been watching me all this time, have you? I didn't think you were that type.
You...
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know I'm actually working to take care of it. There's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. You should be following my lead. Just trust in me, your Archon, and do as I say. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. It'll all turn out fine. That's all I have to say. We do not discuss this matter again. Oh, the opera's about to start. Toodles!
Did Farina not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her. She was smiling. She didn't.
I assume you've been outside for a while now?
Oh! You noticed! Seems Farina didn't even realize we were here.
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion reached impasses time and again. Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding, so why did she keep refusing to engage? Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. The issue is her attitude. I fear that she will not reveal anything unless absolutely forced to. We may have to create a situation in which she will have no choice but to speak.
Oh? Like what?
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must have the Hydro Archon experience just such a scenario.
But Farina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions. How do we make sure that she won't just slip away at the first chance she gets?
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various parties, and then do what we can. If at all possible, I would prefer to recuse myself from this affair, but we must prevent the prophecy from coming to pass. This may be cruel to her, but all Fontaine is in crisis. The information a god possesses is too precious, and so we must take a chance on this. But who will lend us their aid to do such a thing?
Well, that's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid of people. That naturally makes it the best choice.
And here you are drinking tea like it's the most natural thing in the world, huh?
That's what family should do. Sit and enjoy a leisurely time together.
It's nice to enjoy tea here, you know? Care for a cup?
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you, friend?
Me? No, I don't think I can.
Then how about you, good sir?
I fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber as it is in court.
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things. Wonderful, the spotlight at last. I guess I'll be facilitating things from here.
That was a little long-winded, don't you think?
Oh, you might be right. Anyway, to cut to the chase, our friend here, the Traveler, has brought us together to discuss something. As for what that is, well, let's start by saying that we'll be pooling our efforts together to create a series of traps.
Oh, how intriguing.
Well, it's just an expression, really. One that I just learned from Chlorand. and used on the spot. So, let's invite her to explain in detail. A round of applause, please.
Huh? Didn't you say that you would be facilitating this?
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a good chance to practice. You might even pick up some fancy oratory tricks to impress your boss with in the future.
I see. And what does my boss say?
He is glad that you consider him your boss. Do go on.
In that case, do any of you have experience hunting?
Not that I recall.
Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger. As for Lynette,
I've also gone diving to catch some fish before. Does that count?
I'm afraid not. You may or may not have heard, but Fontaine once played host to a group known as the Marechaussee Hunters. Though that was their name, they did not hunt animals, but rather various monsters left behind by the ancient dynasty of King Remus. Today, Fontaine's monster population has already thinned greatly, so the hunters have blended back into society, taking up arms in other lines of work. A trap comprises of the following components: bait, a trigger, and a containment device. So, if we were to build a trap together, right now, what would you choose to build it with?
for me, I would prefer something basket-shaped. Pigeons and rabbits will see the bait and naturally enter the snare. Our line of work requires a deft hand, and we're some of the best in the industry, so you can count on our techniques.
You used some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson, didn't you? My subordinates mentioned that you even performed some magic for the bawling children.
Yes, and I even managed to gather some intelligence in the meantime. I'm quite the multitasker if I do say so myself.
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit. I prefer more stable methods, like placing bait in the water and waiting for the fish to come within reach. That's the kind of method I would count on.
Calm and steady. Exactly the kind of person who would catch loads of fish.
And I can be their assistant.
With discretion, I'm sure.
I'd probably use some sort of mechanical animal. Papa once bought me some. I remember that you liked those too, didn't you?
I did. And that would be a good way to go about it. If they're realistic enough.
What about you, Monsieur Neuvillette?
I fear I do not have any related experience.
That makes sense. You usually solve problems directly, without the use of any such tricks. But I do have one more question for you, monsieur. If we were to create a trap now, how would you design it?
I would like for it to be effective, but bring no harm to the prey. A more gentle trap would be ideal.
Kind, as always. However, our intention doesn't necessarily change the containment device and the type of implement we need. If we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes for prey that must be captured and safely contained.
Wait, why's that?
Only a hunter who's a true expert at subduing their prey can snare it without harming it. The line that divides life and death is often exceedingly thin.
So are we going hunting together?
We hadn't thought of seeing ourselves as hunters.
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, then the hunting metaphor is actually quite accurate. But we shall require much more courage than any hunter to judge a god, a being whose seat is an exalted throne.
Oh, so that's what's going on. Sounds very interesting.
days, hasn't it? So much has been happening. Paimon didn't think the meetings would go on for so long, but everyone seemed pretty fired up, huh? Paimon thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon thinks about it, but everyone else just looked a little surprised. It's hard to say. Paimon doesn't have any experience. After all, you're the most reliable person in the world, aren't... Did you just pour some... Then what's that? Paimon's never seen that cup before.
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two for tea. I merely refrained from saying any... Ah, have you forgotten me already?
Wait, you are familiar. You're the voice we heard from the sky in Sumeru.
The voice from the sky, I fear that description is wrong. You're feeling lost now, just as you were feeling previously. I sensed that confusion and thus came to you. Consider me a passerby, just accepting a commission from my friend's disciple on a whim. The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future.
What? Then is there any way we can stop it?
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your own eyes. Can everything in Teyvat so easily be changed? So you've caught on. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the gods perceive?
What is she talking about? It all sounds really impressive and important and stuff, but it also sounds kind of scary.
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are insignificant, but others you must reach out to change. Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Teyvat's future. All you need to do is to play your part. This was good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality. Well, that'll be all for today.
The voice. Alright. Hey, it's you who's getting lazy, okay?
Well, I see I've walked in on some lively banter.
Luna!
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that Steambird panel. It turned out to be more interesting than I expected. Not all Fontanians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned that sitting around and waiting for the end to come would be wrong, and that they should make their own rescue preparations. I agreed, so we had a brief chat with her.
Did she have pink hair by any chance?
Why, yes! It was Charlotte. You remember her, right? That daredevil journalist? I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be commandeered by just a few words?
That's right! Paimon's glad to hear something sensible for what—
Yes. About what we had discussed before. Huh? Goodness gracious. Are you serious?
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon.
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned her a few times, but I've never met her. And if she were still alive, she'd be...
Whoa. The Hexen and Zirkle sound...
Their abilities alone are pretty terrifying. If she came to see you personally, then...
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she said.
Yes, she was quite cryptic, but I suspect she means that there is still a way to turn things around. She didn't say when or what that would be, though, so... Perhaps it is something that you cannot know right now. Traveler, Paimon, are you two all right?
Oh, we're fine. We're just a little down right...
I see. I feel that same sense of I guess you could consider me someone who has often witnessed fate. So far as I have seen, it cannot be swayed. But even so, I still hope for, and believe in, miracles. Astrology is eternal and perhaps that's what En was trying to tell you. Not to lose heart, and to believe that what you are seeing playing out before you is not yet set in stone. I did originally think of steering clear of all this, but I couldn't. Even if this is all futile.
Huh. You do have a point.
There I go, talking about astrological principles again. Sorry about that. The moment I start talking about work, it was worth trying to comfort you, even if only a little. I believe that you'll help those who are struggling, and I suppose that might be why we always seem to meet by coincidence.
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said. Hey, Traveler, Paimon said... Let's walk around the city, shall we? There's a few spots we always like to walk by. Huh? Our names are written... Let Paimon see! The underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meripede, has continued in its noble autonomy. But my recent attempts to enter the fortress bore little fruit. Huh. Guess Charlotte still hasn't given up on that. Thus, did an Outlander friend become the focus of this report. A blonde adventurer with their white fairy, legends trailing in their wake. So while the fortress's interior remains a mystery behind closed doors, do not fear, for the tales of the traveler contain surprises in spades. Journalist Charlotte's biggest scoop yet, the Traveler's Trail, World Walker. Huh. Charlotte took so many awesome photos of us and we never even noticed. She hasn't been able to get a hold of anything at the fortress, so since we're easier to find, she's using us as the subject matter instead. Ugh, seriously? Well, fine. Those headlines and photos do look cool. We're here! Paimon's hungry. Should we go in and get some... Hey, quick! Look! That's the limited edition only 16 slices a day cake! It was so delicious the last time we tried it, despite the tense situation.
1 slice of cake, please.
Someone showed up after all! Oh, wait, you're the one from the Palais Mermonia.
Oh, are you here to buy cake too? It seems Monsieur Nervalette was right. You really can eat.
Wait, did he really say something like that?
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me, I love the cake and coffee here.
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Every day?
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work. I shall have my cake and coffee.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing soon, and you wouldn't get to eat cake here anymore? What would you think?
But why would it close?
Well, Paimon doesn't know either, but maybe the waters will rise tomorrow.
Oh, the prophecy. To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that. No, still, even if there'd be no more cake tomorrow, that wouldn't keep me from having some today. No, it's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow, but if you can do so today, then you should carry on.
Huh.
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2 more slices of cake to go? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of expression you're making is what humans...
Oh, you know Sijuin?
I sure do. She was born before me, and she sometimes comes to the surface to teach us. She said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily. Yes, and you can only lift their spirits by feeding them delicious food. So please try the cakes here. I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now. You two try to stay in a good mood after eating, all right? Bye.
And there she goes. All right, let's dig in. Paimon's sure this cake will be delicious. It's more delicious than last time. And the flavor gets even better with the... Sure would be nice if we could always eat delicious food. Oh, we're near the Steambird office. Let's go look for Charlotte and have a chat.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon! Oh, have you seen the article I wrote about you?
Ha! You've got some nerve! You just used us to make some quick mora!
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I said, it's all right, though. I've set aside the amount intended for you.
Really? Oh, you're the best!
You're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were a journalist with ulterior motives, you'd be in trouble now, you know.
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden? Were you looking for me?
When Mona mentioned you, we thought of coming to see you at work.
I see. It seems you've already bumped into Mona here in Fontaine. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real daredevil.
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journalist dare...
Huh? So your article in the paper today doesn't count?
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to talk about the things you've seen and experienced.
Yeah, are we even qualified enough?
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course. I'll need a few days to prepare.
Oh, in that case, we'll just chat when you have the time then?
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. Whew, so much to get done now.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example, Fontaine were to be flooded tomorrow, what would you do today?
Huh, that's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, if you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journal. From what I've seen, most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. In truth, it might be better just to behave like normal rather than worry over such an end. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. That sounds a bit sad, but I've always believed that it's best to do what you enjoy. Just think about it. If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still successfully finish an exclusive interview with a truly unique person, then the story I would wind up writing would truly be timeless. And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to the various nations as soon as possible. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic, but I do love my job. And I'd be proud of leaving such an... But anyway,
That's my answer. And on that note, I'll get back to my preparations.
That's so nice. All of a sudden, Paimon actually kinda envies her. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we? The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty soothing combo, huh? Paimon's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow, where would we go and what would we do? No, Paimon should ask, if you could choose, what would you like to do? We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. You mean, still traveling? Huh. Wait, isn't that what we've always been doing? Feels like you'll grow mold if you stay here long enough. But it's still better than the Fortress of Mirapede, that's for sure. It's not only
So the two of you are still here. Wonderful.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonia!
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to look for you two before. Not at all. I'm well aware that you're friends of his. Actually, yes, inside the Opera House. The Maréchaussée Phantom has declared the incident a small-scale riot.
A riot?
Well, that said, I don't personally think it was that serious. Lady Farina was watching a performance at the Opera House, loudly accusing her of doing nothing about the prophecy and before she could respond, others started to join in. The crowd continued to grow, and protests against the Hydro Archon started to break out.
So people have started to put the blame on Farina. Guess they finally found an outlet for the pressure they've been under due to the prophecy.
I agree. People will naturally rely on gods, as is customary.
So what happened after that? Is Farina okay?
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control and that further argument was pointless, she claimed that the Maréchaussée Phantom had their hands full maintaining order and did not catch
So, you mean she's still missing?
That's right. The Maréchaussée has dispatched many people. That said, I don't think there's much to worry about. She is a god, after all. Even if she were to fall into the hands of rioters. Good. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to tell you about the situation, but he didn't say anything else.
Don't worry. This is more than enough to go on. Thanks for keeping us informed.
Ah, is that so? Well, all right then. In that case, you two take care. I'll be heading back to the Palais now.
Well, sounds like we should hurry over to Poisson then. If we know Farina, she won't try to fix things in this situation. Instead, she'll look for a place to wait out the heat. And, as we also know, she may be loud and dramatic, but when Nervillet was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, and she heard about it would be hard for her to ignore being accused, but Paimon thinks Farina's probably taken the Huh! Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer. In that case, there's... This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Farina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible. That's Farina, right over there.
Should I just give up? What was meant to happen did happen after all. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry, but what can I even do? Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina, it's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land.
Farina, you were crying just now.
What do you mean, tear stains? Who did that uncivilized rabble think they even dare to tout their Archon? I must teach them a lesson. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Marche Chaussee Phantom are freaking out right next to them, too. Of course not.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? That's against the rules.
Farina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up! This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here.
What?
Hurry, they're almost...
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way.
Paimon's exhausted.
I'm so tired. No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm. You're right.
Yep, that's a good girl.
What's happening? The ground's shaking.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it?
It can't be. It's happening again.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Nouvellette's made some emergency...
Yeah, but the people... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Teyvat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, the truth has been clear to me for a very long time. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way, and the prophecy shall be fulfilled. Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean finally coming to terms with fate, but also for me to finally... Indeed, I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost lost Poisson. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? But just now, it all became clear to me. As long as the final moment hasn't come, it's still not too late. Don't worry. I will keep hope alive for everyone until the very end. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, that wasn't a good fit at all. Don't take any of what I just said seriously.
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually being on.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my a witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Teyvat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Teyvat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator. If that's the case...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself. Does it not strike you as even the least bit absurd to bring the very
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She just surrendered.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a...
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what is the meaning of this?
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be
looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. It is my duty to stand trial for my crimes. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. But now, it is time for the I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true... This time, I will applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese is now unfolding before your eyes. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine! Woohoo!
Oh, now we're making history!
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic...
All right, then. Who will be my opponent in this trial?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Teyvat, my accuser and fated opponent. Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins, just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite insurrection against you. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger into a flame. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean... the ones who scout...
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontanian history.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Areneas. Its cargo, of course, was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance.
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water. It was a lot of work for all of us.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation of the whole house?
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight. Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch. Am I right?
Yes. That is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel with an Archon without...
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted, but you'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage.
Oh?
Is that so? Then I suppose I must have missed my final chance. It's fine. It matters not. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Oh, let Paimon see. Wait, then that means this. So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took part in at the Opera House. I didn't think that this is the first time a Fatui Harbinger. The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a single day. That I didn't witness that scene. According to Monsieur Neuvillette, both Child and that whale should have been in the I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest, That's the words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood when something...
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervylette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress, of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand.
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were...
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric.
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. See? Even the Oratrice has decided. If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Farina's claims...
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. And if I was not the Archon...
That doesn't sound right. First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And
who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to...
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Nervylette?
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell human...
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human being? Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the indemnitium that is used in every aspect of life.
That doesn't... You tried to reference the Oratrice. But weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared—
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are not—
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you are an Archon, you are also first and foremost the defendant in this trial. You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
The real Hydro Archon? Well, now you're really losing me. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day. But the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally, and it has been operating independently ever since it was first created. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that—
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable power of an Archon?
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide
Isn't that a huge
Yeah, no matter how generous—
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's
Hey, come now, everyone! Please, I'm still the same, please. You've got—
If what the prosecutor said is true—
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And all of our—
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is? If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such—
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now? Seems like she really doesn't want to give up. That doesn't sound— It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water from the primordial—
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to—
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear this really will be the last time that I'll speak out of turn. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching this seawater would have no effect on you. All it should do is strengthen your case. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rosula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she...
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right to decline participation.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same as a confession of guilt.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word. It really does seem like she's quite terrified of it. That could only mean...
What's going on? Is she really planning to... that's...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! My hand is... Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon!
Miss Siegewien, If you are present, Miss Siegewin, please...
Siegewin?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hypervenom. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Farina, you may return to the defendant's stand.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved!
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, on the off chance that something entirely... we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually you.
I can't... Listen to me, everyone! Think about it! How can you Also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to just put my hand in... Please, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone.
With all the things that have been said,
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's two-stepped against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charge. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale.
Well, what's wrong? What?
No. The Oratrice also displays a guilt.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. To be punished via the...
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the...
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice?
This outcome is indeed quite strange. Is this sentence really appropriate?
Yeah! Even Vacher wasn't sentenced to death!
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly but now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked...
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it.
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigned...
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately...
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of this... But has the trial already concluded?
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other...
Huh? So what do you see?
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? So when you say Hydro Archon...
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they...
Okay, let's try to recall the context. The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans. Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But the second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still brought judgment down upon them. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin and the Hydro Archon sin are the same thing? The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by... That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone else? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so... We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question of when and not...
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontanians can be dissolved in primordial seawater, and the first stone slate tells us that long ago, the Hydro Archon used her power to turn... This might be the reason that Fontanians can dissolve. Perhaps what is about to take place, the true sin of the Hydro Archon and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia, as recorded on the stone slates. It's not as simple. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was subjected to judgment. The stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. Could that be alluding to the same thing? The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into... The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater. If we hadn't dealt with it in time...
primordial sea but won't cease to exist, their essence will flow in the seawater, converge, and take the form of an Oceanid. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps this means that her sin was actually Fontaine's original sin. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meripede was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of truths should come to light. Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! So that's how you can make sense of it. But then it feels like we're going to have to share some
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real humans.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial, all of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the...
Yeah! Isn't the image here? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once... In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, when we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another...
What?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the Hydro Archon. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, The Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first...
So we were all Oceanians before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular...
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are... A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are human. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water... The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the... Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now, it seems, we're the ones making sure it comes true.
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled. Is this what it feels like to be a prisoner of fate?
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate, you probably thought that the eruption of However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, this eruption was just a small warning of the things to come.
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin, the trial, and the root cause of the disaster.
Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well that whale does not belong to Teyvat. It is a monster that has traversed the sea. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanid...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a pack...
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the...
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. Even if the entirety of Teyvat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
That's not something I will... We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some impossible foe.
Indeed, that's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide. No.
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Farina. Who are you?
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know.
Focalor? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too. The heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria for the uninitiated. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution to this. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydro Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other Odin. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, it's been 500 years. And all along, She's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all.
Oh, who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand your admiration for my august self, but I must ask you to keep to the rules. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not... Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must, at all times, display the utmost elegance and nobility. Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Don't run away now. Settle down. Go! Let's begin.
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Silence!
Windstrider!
Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am before you.
Wait a moment. You're... mirror me?
Mirror you, huh? You know what? That's not...
Mirror me. What do you wish to say?
The prophecy.
What prophecy? Wait. The people will all be dissolved into the water.
Oh, very good. You know it well.
What's going on? I can't seem to remember anything clearly. The only thing I know for sure is this prophecy. Will it really come to pass?
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Disaster will come to Fontaine sooner or later. Things will develop just as the prophecy declared. There is no escaping it.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a Fontainian just like them. Will I dissolve too?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world precisely to give people a chance to turn things around. It is the reason why you met me today. I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer somewhat.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. Goodness, you frightened me. You spoke so much and with so much certainty. As for the suffering, well, I will admit that the first thing that came to mind was, why do I have to be the one to suffer? But if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? So if I've already met you as my magical meeting in this world, if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side and my pain on the other, is it not obvious where the scales should tilt?
You truly are the perfect human, my ideal. I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you.
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you to play a role, that of the new Archon.
Play as a god?
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. You must never let anyone suspect your identity. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy. But should your identity be revealed, then all hope will be lost.
But how will I do this? A human assuming the role of a god without being exposed.
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real god. You simply need to play the role of a god as humans imagine them to be. Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already know what such an entity would be like. Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity, but contending against humanity.
I'm still not sure I understand, but I'll try. I'll try to do this. So, how long am I going to have to play this role?
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for many, many years. You will endure and not grow old until your task ends. But I promise you, all will eventually end in a magnificent and dramatic trial, and everyone will be saved.
A trial, huh? How exciting. I'll be looking forward to it. The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession, but this is my first time facing the people. What should I say to most appear like a god? To be honest. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to the Opera Epiclese. I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. Indeed, I am Farina de Fontaine, your new Archon. In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god, but it will be my honor to guide you all. As the god Focalor, the god of justice, I shall do all within my power to lead you into an age. Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, please send them to the Maison Cardinalise. The future of Fontaine will require us to work together, after all. This should do it. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able to convey my thoughts just fine. Okay, and next.
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a bit more assertive.
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there at the end.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest.
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just be a Maison-back puppet.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone right? Mirmi said, calm down, Farina. Assertive, with a Oh, very good, my people. Only ones such as you are deserving of my rule. Now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and claim ownership. Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a debut that's... Now then, let us be...
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Her personality. It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart my accession speech. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your ardor for justice. We have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that justice is most fragrant when it blooms amid sin. The scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its god. On one side, it must carry fairness and justice. And on the other, praise and applause. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light the fires and drink to the future of Fontaine. There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. All that is needed is for you, so long as I, the Archon Focalor...
Yes! Oh, yeah!
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now, was I not just at the opera house in... Besides, None of these trials were the one that I'm looking forward to.
If I may be so impertinent, what...
A magnificent, dramatic, and...
That's true, I fear I lack the ability...
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. Long have you stood in line to meet me, have you not? Oh, I'm afraid that's just an inevitable consequence of my divine charm. All right, Deoteria, is it? How is your son's...
You remembered me. He's doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of...
Oh, good. Very good. If this should...
You're such a gentle and wise god. Thank you once again, on behalf of my son.
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters you asked to take note of, I'm afraid things still don't look good.
I see. It's as I thought then. As all manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will...
Well, as I understand it...
Really? Have they found...
I'm afraid that...
Oh, is that so? Well, no. The day is finally over. I haven't had a moment to breathe, but it's good to see that everything's getting on track. Maybe this is fine.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the follow-up.
There'll be no need for that.
Lady Farina, I've waited...
Indeed, my dear loyal...
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies.
Understood. Keep monitoring. Keep me informed should anything come up at the Institute. I don't think I feel utterly...
Lady Farina, I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience...
And what a fine... What is it, good citizen?
Are you crying?
Oh, really now? I didn't even notice. This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god whose dominion is...
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your power, then.
So interminable.
much longer. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. Perhaps the show must go on for hundreds more. I never imagined that it would hurt so much. Have I reached my limit? No. Perhaps I reached it. I want to tell someone, anyone, about I've conducted so many investigations. All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain this.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone. Your people are more...
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to just share it with me.
A witness. And if Tevat is... He's right. I could confide in him, but if things don't play out as expected... No, Farina. But what if... Farina, you've worked so hard. Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? If you let this opportunity, think about it. Long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. I am all you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, it seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
I believe that I understand how your deception works, but that is only half the truth, is it not? How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine? That is...
Good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along.
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient depth. In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down the god of justice... I mean... Did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose while Farina suffered? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within the Oratrice. But really, Some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever used to provide power to the vast majority had to be accumulated to enact this death sentence.
It was all a part of your plan then? Both the trial and the sentence?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia had it only been used for that purpose. Almost all of it has now been stored within the oratories. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by Celestia. And
so the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent, you must be
returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same crime? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the process of pursuing human existence itself. So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine's original sin, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontainians as humans and their right to exist in this world would be Fontaine's original justice. In other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice is the continuation of that existence. Defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on, that should be the justice enthroned over all others. At this point, we, whether it be myself or all other Fontainians, have shouldered the burden of this sin for far too long. Iudex Nervillet, the highest judge in our land, when you regain your full power as an elemental sovereign, what verdict shall you pass upon us?
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea too. At last, I now understand the true purpose behind this position. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. And I have even attempted to feel as they feel. You are a devious one, Focalor. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervalette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Iudex Nervalette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven. I see the value in my own work.
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection?
But since we're all still alive and haven't—
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that.
But didn't you say just a moment ago?
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain, we should seize the opportunity to pursue our traveler. Now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help the root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the all-devouring Gnaw. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come. Done my best to separate the power of the primordial sea from the whale. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power with you. We shall look for an opening together. that sorrow turning into hostility.
Bow your head. The tides beckon. Settle down!
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility, and a chance will present itself.
Bow your head.
Over there. It looks really scary.
Clouds high. The birds call into the wind. Check!
This could get a little chilly. Let's begin.
Silence! I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Settle down. Let the mighty be humbled. Water jet! Don't run away now.
Silence!
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but... oh well. It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the meantime. Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point, but they bumped into one another earlier than I thought. What a blunder.
That power. Who are you exactly?
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. Skirk, right? It's just that he gave us the impression that she was the less talkative person.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, managed to defeat the all-devouring narwhal without using power from beyond this world. So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an all-devouring narwhal. That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. The only thing that creature has going for it is its looks. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have missed the...
The point being?
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's master. Wait, is that right?
Oh, right. So you don't know him. His name is Sir Tey-Hom.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar with that.
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous. How should I describe him then? Have you heard of the name The Fowl?
The Fowl?
Still nothing? Well, how about the Visionary? Vetterfulnir then?
Ooh, that one we've heard. Right, Dr. part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's—
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhindaughter. They are both pursuing some form of perfection.
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary person? Paimon didn't quite—
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into chaos. In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has already managed to deceive the...
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Farina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Hey! Help! Over here!
All hands, initiate emergency rescue! Hurry!
Hey! Lend a hand!
Look! The water's receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong! The prophecy was wrong!
Are you alright?
Yeah.
We're saved. The prophecy was wrong.
The soil renewed! The Sweena Divasula tax post-disaster rebuilt. Old soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia states. Sky ship winglet, boon or bane. The various disputes that have arisen on account of Mr. Edwin have suddenly become a shield over the Institute, which people always call the first researcher mad, but few know what to call the second. And should that latter... Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports. Are those really Jurier and Navia? They sound like real big shots.
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The Steambird's idea was pretty simple. With the disaster just having passed, we would print a free edition packed to the margins with good news to calm people down. The value for these big scoops lies in their inevitable follow-ups. We'll publish further reports and go into the stories behind those people. Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created a true flying ship, while Navia is leading people in the reconstruction of their home. I'm sure that these stories could draw even your well-traveled eye.
Paimon's curious too! Wait a minute. Didn't we watch everything happen from start to finish? What's there to be curious about?
And that's exactly why I'd like you to come conduct interviews with me. You're the best incubators of news, if you haven't noticed. And also, with you around, I'm sure I'll get to see that Duke.
Are you sure? Hasn't he turned you down several times already?
Oh, this time will be different. Come on, let's head to Poisson first, and then make a trip to the fortress. There are some things you'll only know when you get there.
Oh, it's you. What brings you all here?
Hey, we're just having a look around.
I'm here to update myself on how things are going here. Oh, the Fatui are here too!
Let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garunt Snežević. He represented the Knave in sending us a large amount of supplies. Our residents are hard at work as well. Thanks to everyone, work is progressing nicely. We've lost a lot of people, but we're moving forward. That will have to be enough.
Hello, Miss Charlotte. I'm a big fan of yours. I especially like that article you wrote last year about Fontaine's stray cats. But if you don't mind, could you not emphasize our role too much in your report? It's not charity we're doing here.
I get where you're coming from. I'll keep it as simple as possible. Or would you be willing to feature—
That would be fine. Thanks.
Oh, you're back too. How are things?
We finished laying down the construction materials. It'll be another hour before the workers are able to go over them.
Huh? You're here too, Clorinde?
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel business with Miss Farina. So she's here in
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson. The Spina has need of more decision-makers. And, well, I do already happen to be connected to Mr. Callis.
Oh, wait just a moment. Do you mind me asking a few questions? You know, about how you felt before the duel, about what it was like facing down a god. There's...
Forget it. I'm sure you can find a better theme than that, Miss Shaw.
I see you're the same as always.
Well, if we're talking about doing things for my sake, you might as well just take a few more...
Of course I will. I'm not gonna let him off that easy. All right, then everyone who wants to be in the photo, gather up. And smile.
How did it go? Was it a good shot? Did Paimon look cute in it?
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. All right, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more shots. All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the essence when it comes to the news, and freshness is the key. Also, not to brag, but I'm pretty good at building connections. Who knows? I might eventually get that interview with you after all, Miss Clarand.
Wow, you really do have that never say die spirit. I'm impressed.
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview at the Fortress of Meripede.
Whoa, you're well informed.
That's a very complete information chain.
In truth, all Monsieur Neuvillette asked me was, when did the Fortress become so friendly towards the media? I told him that it was best not to speak too soon. There's no guarantee that Wriothesley will make a personal appearance.
You're right. I've got to treasure every moment I have with them. In which case, I'll be making a move first.
Stay safe now, and tell me if you hear anything interesting. I'll treat you to afternoon tea in exchange.
You seem curious about the fortress.
Of course. That Wriothesley. I still remember going down to the fortress to grill him for information on my father's case. Boy, did he take me for a ride. Without telling me anything, of course.
But he did invite you to tea, didn't he?
2 large pots of it, in fact. It was good tea, though.
I have to agree. The tea there is very good.
Speaking of that, would you like to have some today? I mean, you've got time, right?
Well, I'd be partial to some shortbread.
Wow, it's like we've got a menu or something.
Good.
What flavor of biscuits would you like, Mr.
Me? I'm fine with anything. But I would prefer chocolate, should you have it.
All right. Leave it to me.
I'll go over the newly arrived supplies with you later, Mr. Snezhevich.
That works great for me.
Huh. Is it just me, or did you get a new lift?
I did. It was a gift from Sigewinne. Want to give it a try?
Wow, guess we're here again, huh? There's a real nostalgic feeling to this place.
Looks like you've been missing us.
Duke! Did you come all the way to the entrance to greet us?
Of course. I'm here to welcome you and our dear Miss Charlotte, whom our good head nurse recommended to me.
It's an honor to finally meet the much-rumored Duke. Thank you for consenting to my visit to the fortress, sir.
No need to thank me. But that said, I shouldn't be the focus of your interview. I trust you recall our agreement?
Of course, of course.
All right then, this way.
Hey, no need to be so nervous. I've already taken all the photos we need.
Miss Charlotte, do these pictures really need to be published on the cover of the Steambird?
It would seem that Miss Lorvine doesn't want her face to appear beside that of Mr. Jurier,
Sir, please don't say things like that.
But it looks like dear Mr. Jurier denies it. Might this interview be very important to you, then?
No, I just... This is my first time being interviewed, and I'm very thankful to the Steambird for...
Now, I might not look it, but I actually did meet Mr. Edwin once. And I'll be honest, I enjoyed chatting with you more. You've definitely got more of that genius vibe going on. The boat that brought about a miracle, the ark that saved the people. Why, you recreated a myth back there, like an emissary of legend. Still, if I might ask, where's that flying ship now?
Huh! Looks like Charlotte's trying to get herself another exclusive scoop.
I have to apologize, but that ship is presently in the bowels of our factory. I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to get a shot of it.
Really? Well, then in that case, could I have an interview with you to make up for that loss?
You already know my answer, I'm afraid. Best you interview our head nurse instead. Or perhaps you'd like to take another photo of this couple of researchers?
Did you really have to use the word couple? Well, then, 2 solo photos will do.
Is my hair messed up? Please, someone help me have a look.
Things sure are getting pretty lively here. We've seen this kind of thing before. Oh, seems like everyone's here. Would any of you like to try this new drink I came up with?
Ah, Siegeween.
Hey, Miss Charlotte. Why don't you, take some pretty photos of our head nurse? Sure. Come on, Miss Siegeween. Over this way. Let's find a brighter spot.
Huh? Sure. Do I have to smile? So, how have things been at the fortress?
Same old, as you can see. Fontaine's undergone some change.
Other than that flying ship, it got a tad too much attention, I think.
That's why I decided to let the interview go through. We should direct more public opinions toward the behind-the-scenes heroes. Am I right, Mr. Jurrier? Miss Lurvine?
You're too kind, sir. I believe that you too should have your day in the sun. Not that you would want that, which is a pity.
I'll just leave the spotlight to you two. I see. Lots of things happened that day, huh? Anyway, regarding that Harbinger, I'm not sure you remember, but his 3 young followers are still waiting for his return.
He sure did win them over, huh?
I'll tell them that there's good news and bad news. The good being that their boss seems fine, and the bad being that they must face extended sentences for abetting his escape.
Oh, actually, what about you? Are things gonna change for you too?
What change can there be? The fortress will keep chugging along, and so will my duties. As to what Miss Farina's departure will mean for the nation, and if our laws and governance will be transformed, we'll leave those to the folks in the overworld.
Hey everyone, the photo shoot's done.
Good. In that case, let's call it a day here.
Thanks for your cooperation. Come on, Traveler, let's go. Till next time, everyone.
There'll be a next time?
Maybe. Who knows? I might write a story about the underwater factory next time. Until then. All right. Last stop, the docks.
Oh, you know, I'd love to see you in one of Charlotte's photo shoots one day.
Is that really necessary? Our line of work doesn't really require much photographing.
It's precisely because we don't need the picture that they'll have value as keepsakes. You don't really look all that opposed to the idea, you know.
Maybe I'm just happy that I managed to once again avoid the spotlight. I think this interview went well either way.
Yes, you successfully kept prying eyes away by using Mr. Jurrier and Miss Lurvine as shields. Very good.
You should be happy for them. They have a bright future ahead of them.
Navia mentioned that she stayed in touch with Linny and the others after working together. Apparently, they've been at the docks distributing these strange pockets the whole time since.
Traveler, Paimon. Ah, and Miss Charlotte, too.
Would you like a magic pocket?
What sort of gadget is it?
It's a wondrous bag that can be used to carry many things. The water level has returned to normal, but if you see any of your things floating,
Trick a friend.
you could just make a friend like Fremine here. Isn't that right, Fremine?
Is this what you meant by I'll help?
To be honest, that sounds pretty sweet. Could I have your contact, please?
Sure. Please, write down my address.
You sure are working hard to help Fremine socialize.
He was the one who proposed doing this. He even wants to assist in our magic shows.
Yes, I was planning to first introduce Pear as an assistant, and later Fremine himself. In the future, I think we can leave underwater escape magic to him too.
That said, would anyone want to see a diver escape underwater?
Oh, it'll work out. Every journey begins with the first...
Lynette, could you come over? Miss Charlotte says she wants to take a picture of us.
Got it.
My, that Charlotte is rather perceptive. She got rid of everyone the moment she realized I had something to say to you. Father says that you did a great deal during the latest events. She's very grateful for your contributions to Fontaine.
That's all right. We were more than happy to help. So, what's she doing now?
Oh, I guess you haven't heard. Well... After Lady Farina left, Father and Monsieur Neuvillette opened negotiations, during which he gave Fontaine's gnosis to her as a diplomatic gift.
A diplomatic gift? A gnosis?
Yes, I was quite surprised at first myself. But when I thought it over, it could have been done as an apology for the incident with Lord Child, or as thanks for his help in tying the all-devouring narwhal down. Furthermore, Father did also lend significant aid to Fontaine and Poisson.
That's true, but this is a gnosis we're talking about.
I would agree, but I've also heard that it seems that Monsieur Neuvillette has had a significant change of heart regarding...
So there's some reason for this that only Neuvillette knows about?
I suspect you'll have to ask him about that yourself. Ah, yes, speaking of which, I did see him strolling around the entrance to...
Isn't he real busy and stuff? But back to the topic.
They say that he's returned to Snezhnaya to recover from his wounds. I hear that the recent disaster really did a number on his health.
That's true. When you think about it, we've had loads of run-ins with the Fatui.
So shocked by such a simple switching of sides?
Father!
Well, what do you know? Come to the docks to see how my children are doing and meet the traveler.
Are you going to take the gnosis back?
That is our duty as Harbinger. Don't be too preoccupied with sides. The goal of the Fatui concerns not a single place or person, but the entire world. With such a grand goal in mind, switching my masks is something... Well, that depends on many things. No one truly knows what the future holds. What good is honesty? As for you, I very much look forward to our next collaboration. Good things cannot be achieved alone, and you've proved yourselves to be great partners. A vision? All right. I'll remember to return it. Thank you for keeping it safe for him this entire time.
And that's a wrap for me. Huh? You...
Greetings, Miss Journalist.
Hello. If I'm not mistaken, there are diplomatic channels I'll need to...
That is correct. So forgive me, but I will not be able to serve as a subject in your article. However, feel free to write as much as you'd like about our dear magicians and our upcoming rookie talent.
I will.
The sea breeze is quite pleasant. I shall continue my walk while the weather remains so agreeable. Farewell.
Farewell, Father.
Oh, she has such an intimidating presence. I didn't even dare to take a picture. Thankfully, I've already wrapped up all my pre-scheduled interviews. Thank you all. This'll be more than enough for me to write about, I'm sure.
Don't be too nervous. Why don't you take a magic pocket before you go? Here, Traveler, Paimon, you take one too.
To move things about?
That's right. Funny. I was giving out magic pockets when we first met too. And what do you know? I'm doing the exact same thing right now. So many things have happened, but I guess this must be life. We will all follow our own. All right then. We'll be handing out pockets.
Well, guess we sent Charlotte off. Shall we go see what Neverlette's doing? As long as he's not so busy that he doesn't have time to chat anyway.
Welcome to the Opera
The entrance to the fortress! Ooh, he really is there! So, you really are here, Neverlet! Paimon didn't think you were going to have free time this hour of the day.
Really? Oh, I suppose you must have met Mr. Linney. He took the time to greet me earlier when he passed this way. In any case, you came at a good time. I was just considering reaching out to you to set up a meeting, so I may explain some things that I haven't had the time to before.
Aw, Paimon's glad that you remembered. Thank you for keeping us on your mind, what with you being busy and all. Alright, let's have it then. How was Fontaine actually saved? The whole business is still quite the mystery to us.
It is strange how words can often leave a bitter taste in the mouth when it finally comes time to say them out loud.
Whoa. So that's what happened? Focalor destroyed the divine throne of the Hydro Archon and restored your power to you. But Paimon still doesn't quite get what you did to save the Fontanians from dissolving.
For me, the authority of the ancient dragons refers to absolute control over the hydro element. Fontanians were incomplete humans born of Egeria's use of the power of the primordial sea. But so long as those primordial energies remain within them, I could use the ancient dragon's authority to grant them true blood. In other words, when I gave my verdict, Fontanians became true humans.
Focalor must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict was the key to making the prophecy appear to have come true while saving everyone. Yeah, and in a manner of speaking, Focalor finally managed to fulfill the original Hydro Archon's wish to turn Oceanids into real people too.
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish to ask. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I have investigated his case along many avenues, and I have learned that he once fell into an unknown chasm when he was young. There, by chance, he awakened the all-devouring narwhal. But whether it be by sentiment or reason, that should not have been enough to consider him the root cause of the disaster. As for the judgment passed by the oratrice during the trial, whether it was due to that liability by association or Focalors deliberately using him to buy time for us on the assumption that he would be able to hold the creature off. I cannot say.
Guess Focalors had Fontanians in mind the whole time. In the end, it was thanks to her that they finally became real humans. Hang on a second. Back when Fontanians hadn't yet become real humans, were the children they had also
Life has always flowed like water. Do you recall how Fontanians would
Yeah! Lynette said the fountain is where all the...
In truth, even those couples did not know that such prayers were no mere custom. Those Oceanids who were blessed within the spring water would later descend as new humans in the
Paimon sorta gets it now. Either way, it seems like this ritual won't be of any further use.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Yeah, about that. Risley said Farina has already left.
Ah, Lady Farina. The people are only aware that her death sentence has not been carried out. She abdicated the post of Hydro Archon and left affairs related to that title to me. I related Focalors' words to her faithfully and completely. After hearing them, she seemed neither saddened nor comforted. She simply said that she was tired and needed to rest. Having said that, she then packed her things and moved out of the Opera House, not unlike how an ordinary person might.
But she's still got a place to stay, right?
You need not worry. I will make arrangements to ensure that she will not want for food, clothing, board, or travel. In truth, I am somewhat happy for her. The wear and tear on her spirit will, of course, take time to heal. But now that she no longer has to play the role of Focalors the Hydro Archon, she can finally lay down her burdens and leave.
What about you then? What are your plans now that you've regained your full powers as the Hydro Dragon?
After Focalors passed on, the Oratrice also ceased to function. This matter will directly affect our trials. After much careful consideration, I've decided to take over its role in our courts. From now on, I shall hear cases and pass verdicts by myself.
Looks like you're still considering stuff from the perspective of the Udex, huh?
As an elemental dragon, there are indeed many things that I must do. But this power and this duty, in a manner of speaking, you could say that both were granted to me. As such, before I attend to my other responsibilities, I must first and foremost continue to serve Fontaine as its highest judge. The duty of the Hydro Sovereign and the duty of the Udex shall coexist within my person. Additionally, the Hydro Archon's departure has brought about another problem, which is that the Opera House shall no longer produce indemnitium.
That's true. That power was derived from the people's faith in the Hydro Archon, wasn't it? Wait, but the various mechs and machines in the city are all still okay. Where are they getting their...
As I am now, I have full command over New Musia, and it can serve as a complete substitute. Another reason why I cannot quite leave Fontaine immediately.
Wow. This ancient dragon's authority stuff is really quite useful, huh?
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Oh, that's right! They say you've given it to the knave as a diplomatic gift or something!
Leaving aside their intentionality, the two Fatui Harbingers have indeed done much for us during this crisis. Their sole remaining goal in Fontaine, at least at this point, would seem to be the Gnosis. The Oratrice has ceased to function. The Hydro Archon's divine throne is now no more, and I do not need the Gnosis's power. As such, it has lost all meaning for Fontaine. If the Fatui have impure designs, then we might as well accede to their request now, and avoid unnecessary conflict.
What complicated considerations! Paimon thought you were just giving it to them out of gratitude to the knave and as an apology to Child.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. You will soon be heading to Natlan, I presume? I'm afraid that I have little talent as a travel guide, so all I can do is tell you what I know about that land. As far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be a nation of dragons.
A nation of dragons?
No, I suspect that I would not find myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, the dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Natlan is also the nation of war. War ravages those lands like an undying flame. There is one other piece of information I got incidentally from my negotiations with the knave that I believe may be useful to you. The harbinger known as the Captain has thrown his hat into the endless ring of war.
The Captain. Sounds like a real tough customer. Seriously, everywhere you look, there's a Fatui Harbinger doing their thing!
I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to Natlan. In the meantime, Fontaine's doors will always be open to you. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Hang on a sec. Paimon's still got a question about the Gnosis. When we spoke to Linny earlier, he mentioned that your attitude towards giving away the Gnosis had clearly changed. We guessed that there might be some reason for it that only you were aware of.
No wonder the House of the Hearth is the Fatui's intelligence division. They are certainly sharp. So regarding this specific issue, I was just getting ready to share something with you.
What is it?
In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Well, we're going to head topside to see what's going on. You hurry over soon as well, all right, Nervalet? Whoa!
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here, so I'm no longer getting any interference. I can finally catch the scent of your power, what it's made of. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons, but with something very similar to a god's curse mixed in. It's quite a novel blend. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before. What was it again?
I do not know what you speak of.
Ah, of course. How could I forget? You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of any such thing.
Huh. According to your parlance, I believe it may be called a gnosis.
Well, that much is true. After Focalor's divinity faded, she handed her gnosis to me. But I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Foul, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to the surface since. So most of the information I possess, I got from him. It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess a different sort of common sense, which is why there are so many problems in our attempts to communicate with humans. Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects of misfortune to prevent any disasters from befalling you. To live in itself is a blessing, but once a person dies, the bonds he once had with this world shall all turn to curses.
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my personal thoughts, and my reason for no longer wishing to return to the surface.
This third descender you refer to, who are they? And when did they die?
Master never mentioned them to me. Perhaps it just wasn't that important for me to know. If you're interested, though, I could ask him. I'll be sure to pass the answer on to you next time.
Next time? You believe we will meet again?
I do. Wait. I have a disciple of my own, don't I? He can be the messenger then.
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not, I wanted to pass that information on to you.
The remains of the third descender? So that's what the Gnosis actually are. Paimon just thought they looked like chess pieces. How could—
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding.
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it, which is why you gave it to the Fatui.
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk. I had guessed that you might already be familiar with this concept, but I did not expect you to be one of them. That means that the Gnosis, which are exceedingly element-compatible and can even enhance elemental abilities, do indeed come from the third descender. I wonder, does your body also possess similar properties?
Like being able— No, let's not think about this stuff right now. It just feels creepy. Comparing the Traveler to the dead third descender and all. That's what you say, but this topic still feels like bad luck. Once Child recovers, let's get some more answers out of him. Or go look for his master and get the answers that way.
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind guesses when information is lacking. The same is true of being at court.
All right. Whatever the case, it seems like the crisis here in Fontaine's over for now.
Yes. All—
But she sacrificed herself in the end as a god, and she suffered through all those years as a human. Was that really what she wanted?
I suppose that would be the mystery of a god's will. I suspect not. But once in a while I too would guess that if wishes were like the clouds in the sky, they will one day return to the earth as raindrops. Life flows like water, and rain is the final answer. And what, ultimately, is the difference between the rains that fall upon all of us? It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you— Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to—